So, hello. Hello. ये audible है? Yeah, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to this YouTube live of Ojasvi IAS. Well, so most of y'all are watching this or will be watching it have either given the exam, that is the Prelims 2026, or want to appear for the future. So most of you will be aspirants. What is the common trend that we have, or the lesson that we've studied from the Prelims 2026, right? It is indeed something that has shook the UPSC world because everybody is just talking about the exam. Why is everybody talking about the exam? What has changed? And specifically, we will talk about Indian polity as a subject, for which I am your faculty at Ojasvi IAS, right? So what has changed, right? What is this drama everybody's talking about with regards to the UPSC Prelims 2026, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's first look at a brief overview of what's been happening, okay, or what happened in Prelims 2026, right? Which happened on the 24th of May, right? So what happened is that you have the question paper, right? Prelims question paper. So usually what were the trends was that when students used to go to give the prelims exam, they used to expect a certain set of questions, right? Around 15 questions from polity, and economy around 18 questions, let's say, on average, so on and so forth. So everybody prepared accordingly. And what people, or sometimes some aspirants, did was that certain subjects like modern history, art and culture, ancient, and medieval, these subjects they ignored, or because the trend was such that the questions came less, and they used to focus on high scoring subjects such as polity, 15 questions come, economy, on average 18 questions, environment also on the same, around you have an average of 15 to 18, right? Science and tech as well, right? So people thought, or aspirants thought, that we'll focus on these 4 subjects and a little bit of these subjects and we will be able to clear. So far this has been what the aspirants have been following so far. Okay. However, what happened, right? What happened is that in Prelims 2026, we see from polity And I will only talk specifically with regards to polity because I'm a polity professor, polity faculty, right? With regards to polity, you have only 7 questions. A subject that was given 15 questions, which was relatively easier to score as well, right? 15 to let's say 18 questions, right? And which was relatively very easy to score. The subject has been reduced to 7 questions. Now the problem with UPSC is not that this is a trend setter, right? It is more or less a trend breaker, right? It is not a trend setter because now it has become completely unpredictable. What if next year you give the UPSC prelims and this number has been again increased to 17 to 20 questions? So does this mean that you focus less on polity? Absolutely not, right? So with regards to what we should do in the future or the strategy, we will discuss towards the end of this live session. But before that, just to give you a brief idea, right? So, and what kind of questions were these, the 7 that we saw? Okay, what kind of these questions we will see? That will form a major part of our YouTube live session, right? And we will discuss these questions. We'll discuss the UPSC official answer key is out, so we will discuss with regards to the answer key as well, right? We'll try to understand why UPSC asked, how do you study, how do you go ahead in the future, right? So this is I wouldn't call it a trend, but it has broken a trend, right? So UPSC at the end of the day always proves one point: unpredictable, right? Stay focused. By the end of this YouTube live session, we will discuss how to deal with this unpredictability, right? Okay. Now, let us start with the analysis of the questions. So I have taken questions from set D of the prelims 2026. Okay. So we will focus on questions. The questions are numbered like that, right? Okay. As you can see, it is question number 79, right? It is question number 79. And again, this is from set D. Okay. Yeah. So let's read the question. This is the first polity question. When you read it, you can see that it has changed, right? It was not like this, right? It was not like this. The questions usually in polity is never asked. They never ask in polity, or there's never been a trend where they ask Mr. X did this or that. This has so far not been the trend. But what has changed is that the first polity question, you see Mr. X. Okay, X was addressing a seminar on the meaning of the term law as provided under Article 13. Now, students of Ojasvi, IAS, students of polity, students who have studied from me, when they see Article 13, they will remember a lot of things. Therefore, this question, I can guarantee you that the students of Ojasvi IAS would have gotten this correct. Okay. Part 3 of the Constitution of India. X explained that the meaning of the term law. So, Article 13, according to X, Article 13, the meaning of law. What is the meaning of law? Okay, in the Constitution of India was very comprehensive. It included ordinances, orders, and even rules and regulations. Fine. Okay. However, why? Now you have another person, why? Okay. Now, so this is in the form of a conversation between two people, X and Y, right? Y pointed out that the term law in Article 13, okay, again, the article in question is Article 13, also included custom, also included custom or usage having in the territory of India the force of law, to which X was not convinced. So what we've understood is that two people are talking. X and Y are talking to each other. X says that according to Article 13, right, the meaning of law in the Constitution includes ordinances, orders, rules, and regulations. Y says, yes, I agree, right? But it also included. Y is not saying that X is wrong. Y is saying that yes, but also including that custom or usage having in the territory of India the force of law. Like, there are certain customary practices that in the territory of India has the, force of law, right? Because India is very societal in its idea, right? There are many social norms, there are many customary rules and practices according to each community, right? And sometimes these customary or customs or traditions have the usage of force of law, right? So let's read. So based on the above, select the correct conclusion from the options given below. First, X, that is X. According to the option, X is correct in the interpretation of law, including the view on non-inclusion of custom. This is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because this statement 1 is saying that X is correct in the interpretation of law. Yes, it is correct. However, it is also correct in the fact that what? The non-inclusion of custom as not having a force of law is wrong here. So A is wrong. B, the view of Y, that law included custom, is not correct, right? The view of Y, that law included custom, is not correct. This is also wrong. Why? Now this you need to know. Article 13 we have studied in my classes that it also consists of this, right? So this statement 2 is also wrong. Statement C, the views of both X and Y are correct. Why are the views of both X and Y wrong? Okay, so C and D, if you look at it, if C is correct, D is wrong. If D is correct, C is wrong, right? Now C is the wrong statement. D is correct. Why? The view of only Y is correct. Why is the view of X not correct? The view of X is partially correct. The view of X until non-inclusion, the view of X until non-inclusion of custom is correct. Okay, until that. But here we have a statement to which X was not convinced. So therefore, X is saying that I do not believe in the non-inclusion of custom as law under Article 13 of the Indian Constitution. So therefore, which we know is wrong, therefore you know that only statement Y is correct, right? So the view of only Y is correct. Fine. So now what have you understood from this? Right? It is no more prelims in its sense of you take the paper, right? Or you take the polity book, you take either Ojasvi IAS notes or you take Lakshmikant and you study and you're happy with it. No, it's no more factual, right? You need to have a very high skilled interpretative capacity to deal with this question. It is no more a yes or no. It is, look at this, it's basically a case study, right? It's two people talking, X is talking to Y, and they're debating on the idea of law, right? You need to have that mind inside you, that analytical mind inside you. Now, see, it's the idea of mains is not only siloed or categorized or restricted to the mains paper. The idea of mains or preparation of mains has also now started coming into your prelims. Fine? Especially with subjects that were considered one of the high scoring. Yeah. Okay. Now question number 80. Consider the following statements with reference to the Constitution of India. There is no article in the Constitution of India that specifies that the Constitution of India will be called the Constitution of India. Okay, let's read the second. There is no article in the Constitution of India that specifies that the Indian Independence Act 1947 and the Government of India Act 1935 stand repealed? Firstly, there is no article in the Constitution of India that specifies that the Constitution of India will be officially called the Constitution of India. That is no article that says that this is the Constitution of India. Secondly, there is no article that specifies that the Indian Independence Act and the Government of Indian Act 1935 stand repealed. And statement number 3, there is no article in the Constitution of India that mentions 26th January 1950 as the date of commencement of the Constitution of India. Okay, 3 interesting concepts, right? What can you understand from this? Now, according to the official answer key, right, the answer is B. There is no correct statement. Why is there no correct statement? I've written it here. I can share the PDF with you. Article 393 explicitly says Constitution of India, right? Article 394 says that Constitution also mentions the date 26th January 1950, right? If I had to read the complete statements, yeah, if I have to read the exact, wordings of these articles, okay, Article 393 says that what? This Constitution may be called the Constitution of India, right? This Constitution may be called the Constitution of India. Now, if you read 394, if you read Article 394, it says that this article and Articles 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, 324, 366, 367, 379, 380, 388, 391, 392, and 393 shall come into force at once, and the remaining provisions of this Constitution shall come into force on the 26th day of January 1950, which day is referred to in this Constitution as the commencement of this Constitution. So, this statement number 3, that there is no article in the Constitution of India that mentions 26 January 1950, first of all, is too extreme. ऐसे हो ही नहीं सकते, right? Also, if you go and look at Article 394, you will see that it is explicitly mentioned, right? We have seen in Article 393 also Constitution of India is explicitly mentioned. How is it mentioned? It is mentioned that in Article 393, the Constitution may be called the Constitution of India, right? Which part? This is mentioned in part 22, right, of the Indian Constitution. Fine. And then you have 395, Article 395. Okay, Article 395, exactly, quote unquote, the Indian Independence Act 1947 and the Government of India Act 1935, together with all enactments amending or supplementing the latter act, but not including the abolition of Privy Council Jurisdiction Act 1949, are hereby repealed. What is it saying? What is Article 395 saying? Is that the Indian Independence Act and the Government of Indian Act, right, are hereby repealed. So what have we studied? Now to get this question correct, you need to know them. Right? To get this question correct, you will need to know exactly the answer. So therefore, this has become factual, right? Is there a way to think over it? Well, it opens a lot of doorways to confusion, right? To use elimination here is a very, very difficult probability, right? So in this question, you require knowledge. This is a completely knowledge-based question. Now, the problem was that according to past trends, for Indian polity, I teach Indian polity as well. So we all, we used to focus mostly on certain areas such as parliament, such as the president, the union executive, judiciary, and also, with regards to current affairs. Now, one thing that is interesting to note is that you have the special intensive revision, right? SIRs, that happened in many states, such as Bihar and West Bengal before the elections. So, there was special emphasis put on studying SIR, and therefore, looking at UPSC's pattern, we also studied elections and we also studied the election commissioner, right? The chief election commissioner as a constitutional body. However, no questions were asked from there, right? So the problem is that it's not that they've asked you from any random current affairs, right? This is very much in the constitution, and the Constitution of India is a syllabus, right? How will we deal with this? We'll discuss that in the later half of the live session. Question number 87. Which of the following statement about a zero first information report under the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita 2023 is or are correct? Right? A zero FIR can be lodged. Okay, a zero FIR. Now look at it. You have heard probably of the term. Let's try to use a little bit of elimination in this. Okay, let's try to use a little bit of elimination in this question. Okay. So in this question, or rather, you've all heard of FIR. Okay, first investigation report. Right. Now, first information report. Now, you have something called zero FIR. It is specifically mentioned zero FIR. There is FIR mentioned that and then there is zero FIR. So what is the difference between them, right? You're seeing it for the first time. Let us see. Let us read. Okay. A zero FIR can be lodged at a police station even though the place of commission of a cognizable or non-cognizable offense is outside the territorial jurisdiction of that police station. This is correct. I mean, the statement is not completely correct, but the idea of zero FIR is there in this statement. A zero FIR can be lodged at a police station even though the place of commission of the offense is outside the territorial jurisdiction. Okay, that is why you have zero FIRs, right? If there is a crime outside the jurisdiction and I'm the victim, I can go to that police station and file an FIR, a zero FIR, despite the fact that the crime did not happen in the police station's jurisdiction. That is the idea of a zero FIR. Okay. Second statement, the officer in charge of the police station where a zero FIR has been lodged may, with the permission of the competent authority, initiate a preliminary inquiry, which says that the officer in charge with permission from competent authority might initiate a preliminary inquiry, a beginning prelims, a preliminary investigation, right? Under zero FIR, it is obligatory for the informant to furnish information electronically. This should help you, right? Because statement 3, you see a lot of extreme. You see this statement is very extreme, right? Under zero FIR, it is obligatory. It is obligatory. Okay, that is extreme. Now, what is obligatory? For the informant to furnish information electronically. If you want to furnish it physically, why is that a problem, right? So this statement 3 is absolutely wrong. So when you cut statement 3 or cancel statement 3 off using elimination, A and B is gone. Now you have C versus D. Now, when I was studying this question, when I was trying to find the right answer, I initially marked A. But I was also confused because this could also be correct. And then when I read closely, UPSC, see, now this is a very interesting thing you must note, is because a zero FIR can be lodged at a police station even though the place of commission of a cognizable or non-cognizable offense. Now a zero FIR can only be filed at the commission of a cognizable offense. A non-cognizable offense is not included. A cognizable offense is a very extreme offense. For example, rape, murder comes under cognizable offense. So, therefore, statement 1 is wrong. Now, look at how deep UPSC has gone into asking the question, right? UPSC has gone so deep into asking the question that if you read it, if somebody who knows little bit of it, when they read this first statement, it is very correct. Because this is the essence of zero FIR. Right? You lodge a complaint at any police station despite the fact that the crime did not happen in the jurisdiction of that police station. But it should be a cognizable offense. It should not be a non-cognizable offense. But UPSC played by putting those two words together. So what do aspirants do? They will mark 1 and they will say C is the correct answer. Yeah, you've almost reached 50%. You're almost 50% there by cancelling A and B. But you're getting it wrong by marking C, which is the wrong answer. Because why is C the wrong answer? Because non-cognizable offense should not be, is not, if it is a non-cognizable offense, zero FIR is not applicable, right? So the answer is D. Fine. Okay. So I've written it here, not true for non-cognizable offenses. Statement 3, no such obligation. So statement 2 is the correct answer. The officer in charge of the police station where a zero FIR has been lodged may, with the permission of the competent authority, initiate a preliminary inquiry. Now, moving on to the next set of questions. Yeah, this is a very easy question, very basic also, right? For people, my students, Ojasvi IA students, people who've studied from me and people who've done really good self-study as well, they would have answered this question, right? Question number 82, consider the following statements about the provisions pertaining to scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes in India. First is provisions regarding the administration of the tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. My students would remember UMTUM, right? I've taught this in class. Okay, are given in the 5th schedule. This is completely wrong. This is given in the 6th schedule, right? Fine. So statement 1 is wrong. Okay. There are only 2 correct statements, that are statements 1 and 3. This is wrong. Fine. You cancel one option. One more option you can cancel is all 3 statements are correct. This option also you can cancel. Now you're left with A or C. Okay, in A or C, we'll get back to it. Okay, statement number 2, some tribes of India are entitled to exception from paying income tax on certain incomes. Okay, are entitled to exemption. That is, they do not have to pay income tax on certain incomes. This is true. Okay, this is true with regards to scheduled castes and special provisions related to special scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. This is true, right? Many communities in northeast of India also do not have to pay tribes, or do not have to pay taxes, especially income tax on certain incomes. So also when you see the word some tribes, it is a very safe sentence. If I put the word all tribes, or no tribes, all no, extreme, right? When I put some tribes, the probability of that statement being correct is more. Not giving you a guarantee that that statement will be correct, but the probability of that statement being correct will be more, some. Okay, keep that in mind. So statement 2 is correct. Okay, and the Constitution of India provides for reservation of seats in panchayats for women belonging to the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. This also my students would know this because we've studied this, right? Okay, so statement 2 and statement 3 are correct, and the option, there are 2 correct statements that include statement 2 is correct. Okay, again, if you try to use elimination, if you understand that statement 2 is correct, then you can also eliminate. You can either choose, you again have to choose A and C, right? But in A, it is specifically mentioned statement 2. Okay, and then people, this is very basic, but I've also taught this in class. Fine, the statement 3, and this is also correct, and according to the official answer key, A is correct. Fine. Now question number 83. So we were dealing with questions, right? We were dealing with questions that or at least I told you that most of the in the previous trends of UPSC, most questions from polity used to come from the chapter of Parliament. Most questions used to come from the chapter of Parliament. However, what has happened is that only one question has come from Parliament. So far, we can see that only one question has come from Parliament. Okay, and that question is what? A question that is very, very, that you have to see that start questions, unstart questions, right? So it's not one of those questions ताकि जो complex questions होते हैं, like money bill or finance bill or speaker related, etc. Right? This is a little different of what is happening inside the parliamentary discussions, parliamentary sessions. Right? Firstly, you have unstarred questions. Let's read the statement. Okay, with regards to, let's read the full question. Consider the following statements in respect of questions asked by the members in the Parliament of India. Firstly, first statement says that unstarred questions are those to which a member desires an oral answer in the House. Unstarred questions are those to which a member desires an oral answer in the House. Starred questions are those to which a member desires a written answer. Don't you think these two are in reverse? Right? If I'm a member, if I'm an MP, right, I would start a question. Right? A start question would require more, importance. And I, therefore, when in a start question, would require an oral answer. Right? But in an unstarred question, that is a question that is not starred. Okay? What happens? Requires only a written answer. A starred question, therefore, when you try to gain an oral answer, that person who you're asking, that MP who you're asking an answer from, has to speak loudly, express themselves loudly in the House, right? But a written answer, they do not have to express themselves loudly in the House. Okay, that's a difference. So you can see that statement 1 and statement 2 are reverse. They are wrong. Why? Because starred questions are those to which a member desires a written answer. This is true for statement A. And unstarred questions are those to which a member desires an oral answer in the House is true for option B. Okay, or statement B. Okay, so 1 and 2 are wrong. Let's read the options first. All the 3 statements are correct. Absolutely not. We've seen 2 statements are wrong. Okay, there are 2 correct statements that include statement 2. This is also wrong because you've seen statement 2 is wrong. Okay, and there is only 1 correct statement. There is no correct statement. Let's see. We are left between C and D. Okay. No supplementary question can be asked on an unstarred question. Yes, that is the difference. For a starred question, you can have an oral answer, and you can also ask supplementary questions. You can ask supplementary questions, but no supplementary questions can be asked for an unstarred question. So therefore, we have come to the answer that C is the correct answer, which is also according to the official answer key of UPSC. Fine. So this is also pretty basic. Okay, this is also pretty basic. Consider the following statements about the Committee on the Welfare of Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes of the Parliament of India. Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes have been repeatedly asked. Is a repeated trend in this set of questions. You can see. Fine. Yeah. So question number 84. It's based on the committee. So yes, again, when we study parliamentary committees, we stick to a certain number of committees, right? But now we have to go detailed into it, right? So let's see. Consider the following statements about the Committee on the Welfare of Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes of the Parliament of India. First statement, although members of this committee are elected from both houses of the parliament, the chairperson of this committee is appointed by the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. This is pretty basic, and you know that if this is so, this is wrong. Okay, they are not appointed by the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. It is appointed, that's appointed by the speaker of the Lok Sabha. Okay, so statement 1 is wrong. Okay, so let's look at the options. There are 4 correct statements. This is wrong. Okay, now there are look at option number C. You can see that there are 2 correct statements that include statement 1. Statement 1 is wrong. So again, C is wrong. Now we are left with B or D. Okay, keep this now. Again, you have brought it down to 50%. You have brought it down to 50%. Okay, half of your work is done. Right? 1 foot is already there, or 1 leg is already inside. Let's take the next step. Fine. Then statement number 2. 20 members are elected by the Rajya Sabha and 10 members by the Lok Sabha. This is again wrong. Okay, the correct statement should be 20 members from Lok Sabha and 10 members from Rajya Sabha, leading to 30 members totally in this committee. Okay. Okay, no minister except for the Union Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment is eligible to be a member of this committee. This is wrong. No minister whatsoever is eligible to be a member of this committee. Statement number 4, members are elected for a fixed term of 2 years from the date they enter their office. This is also absolutely wrong. This is very basic. You know that this statement is absolutely wrong. Nobody is elected for a fixed term of 5 years. Okay. Okay, now let's look at the options again. There is only 1 correct statement. That statement is statement 2. Statement 2 we have seen is wrong. Right? So there is no correct statement is the correct answer, and that is also the official answer of UPSC. Fine. Okay, these 2 are also very easy. Statement 3 and 4, you can see that they are easy to cut off. Right? It is just that you might have some confusion in statement 2. Right, but you need to know the basics. Fine. Moving on. Again, now see, you see that when we say a pattern change, it is not that, see, in 2023, when the pattern was changed, in 2023, what happened was, UPSC, what happened was, in 2023 prelims, the way they would ask the questions changed. That is, the options such as only 1, only 2, pair, only 3 pair, all 4 pair. You know, this was what they changed. They did not change the pattern of questions. They asked the pattern of asking questions or the statements, but they did not change the pattern of questions. Right? Here what has changed is that they have tweaked the pattern of questions. Right? With reference to the organization under the government of India, consider the following. You are expecting question from constitutional bodies and non-constitutional bodies. Right? And the question that they ask is non-constitutional bodies, right? And it's very much in the news also, CBI, etc. So let's look at it. Fine. With reference to the organizations under the government of India, consider the following details. First, CEIB, Central Economic Intelligence Bureau, to coordinate between various law enforcement agencies, controlling Union Ministry, which it is, the answer is CIEB. Ministry of Finance. So this is wrong. Central Economic Intelligence Bureau. It is not Ministry of Home Affairs, it is Ministry of Finance. Okay. Serious Fraud Investigation Office, to investigate complex corporate frauds. Ministry of Finance. Now again you can get confused there. See, you can get confused here. This should have been here. Economic Intelligence Bureau is Ministry of Finance. Serious Fraud Investigation Office only looks at corporate fraud. Okay, therefore, it's not Ministry of Finance. It is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay, SFIO, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Fine. Then the last is Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, to preserve values in public life and ensure the health of the national economy. Ministry of Personal, Public, Grievances and Pension. Okay, so this Therefore, is the correct answer. In how many of the above rows are the given details correctly matched? A, 1. Okay. Only one row is in which the given details are correctly matched. Fine. And according to the official answer, answer is A. In which above the above rows are the given details correctly matched. Fine. So we have come to the end of it. Okay. We have come to the end of the analysis. So let us do our own analysis. Right. Let us do our own analysis. Yes. So what have you understood, right? Firstly, number of questions of polity has reduced. This has, has been a concerning factor for many aspirants. But what can we say with this is that this is not always going to be true. Why is it not going to be always true? Because again, like you see, UPSC is unpredictable. So ऐसे नहीं है कि you will study some other subject and leave polity because 1 year they asked only 7 questions of polity. This is not true. Okay, so you will have to continue for beginners. Let's say for beginners, people have not even given one attempt. They will have to study like how everybody usually studies polity. And for third time, second time, fourth time attempters, revision. And it is not that we need to stick to certain areas and only keep studying them. No. Have you seen the questions have changed? Right? You need to focus on intricate detailing. Any article can be asked. Let's go back and see this. See, Article 393, 394, 395. Right? Article 393, 394, 395 are asked. So any article can be asked. How do you do this? Right? How do you do this? Firstly, here, what we do at Ojasvi IAS is that I will be teaching you the concepts, but we'll also be studying. We'll also have a book called the BARE Act. The BARE, apologies. BARE, BARE Act of the Indian Constitution. Right? So not only that you will be studying the concepts, but you will be studying each and every article like you're studying the Constitution. And that is very important because one question came, they're asking what is Article 393, 394, 395 say indirectly. Basically, the questions are asked, is the Constitution of India being mentioned? Does any article in the Constitution of India mention the Constitution of India or the repeal of Indian Independence Act and the Government of India Act, right? Or the commencement of the Constitution on the 26th, of 1950, right? So therefore, it is important that you have a book. For people who are doing self-study, do so, well and good enough. But always it's not that you always stick to one particular book. Yes, that is important to teach you the concepts, right? If you are not able to read from that book and understand the concepts, you can always go for a foundation course. You can always take help from us, right? But a very important complementary book you must have when you're studying polity is the BARE Act of the Indian Constitution. Buy it now. Order it online or buy it offline, but buy it and read it, okay? Fine. So patterns have changed, type of questions have changed, intricate detailing of each question, of each concept is very important, right? What you can do for the future is therefore, it is not that you study polity, economy, environment, science and tech, geography and you're done with it, no, right? You need to focus on all subjects. Yes, today is the 30th of May, right? take a break tomorrow. Okay, Sunday, Monday se 1st of June start. You can see the vastness of the syllabus. The questions are no more predictable, right? You have to start early because you know that the syllabus is vast. And how do you start early? You did not start for prelims specifically and then main specifically, right? Because both are now interconnected. Many questions, case studies are being asked, ethical questions are being asked, right? X and Y are talking to each other about Article 13 is being asked. You need to develop a very interpretative conceptual understanding, right? That is how I teach in my class as well. That is how in Ojasvi we do things here. We do not teach differently for prelims and mains. We start from the concepts, and then slowly you figure out that certain aspects are important for prelims, certain facts or aspects are important for mains. But mostly both are the same. And now after this current paper 2026 prelims, we have come to the understanding that you need to study them together. So start studying for mains, start your preparation with mains. If you're studying polity, study polity like how you study in GS2. Right? Study polity like how you study polity in GS2. You're studying here, you're doing PYQs, you're doing answer writing, right? And you're also studying the concepts. You are therefore also preparing yourself for prelims polity. And all of this you are doing with what? With the bare act of the Constitution. Right? By a chart, big chart. I still have a chart in my study table that has all the articles listed. Buy that big chart, keep it in front of you. Very important. It's like how you study geography for map, right? For when you study Indian geography or when you're studying world geography, if you're studying Indian geography, you need to have Indian map in front of you, Indian political or physical map in front of you, right? Physical map or political map. Then when you're studying world geography, you have to keep the world atlas in front of you. The same thing when you're studying polity, you need to keep a quick reference of articles in front of you. You get charts online, offline, if there's a big chart, keep it. You'll always have space in any wall of your room or in your house, keep it. Okay? Study like that. Fine. So we have come to the end of this, live session, right? Surprisingly, usually polity, which has maybe let's say 15 questions, we wouldn't have finished it in an hour. We would have taken more hours. But since only 7 questions have come, we've understood what the idea is, right? If you look at the 7 questions again, okay, just to give you a brief outlook, if you look at the 7 questions again, they are doable. It's not like they're not doable, right? 7 questions are doable, right? Non-constitutional bodies. This might be slightly difficult, but this is correct. In the options and the statements also, there are places where you will know that certain questions are correct or certain statements are correct. So in this row, you know that this row, one row is anyway correct. Okay, the rest, Central Economic Intelligence Bureau, also you can use a little bit of elimination and get it right. Okay, look at this though, basics, right? This is also basic. This is also basic. 6 schedule. Okay, this might not be basic, with 0 FIR and Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita. But nowadays questions have been coming predominantly from the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, from these codes. So it is also important to focus on them a little bit more, right? Okay, so you have how many basic questions? You have 1, 2, you have 3, 4, right? This is also knowledge based. This, I wouldn't say basic because, again, it's studying all the articles. You need to know all the articles. So if you study them, it can be basic. Okay, but let's keep them somewhere in the middle, right? 4 and 5. So out of the 7, Yeah, out of the 7 polity questions, you have almost 5 that are basic, right? And 1 that is doable. Actually, both were doable. In that, 2 of them, one is the question from BNSS, right? You can do a little bit of elimination, get that correct, but still we can keep it as a difficult question. And the other question is the is the articles explicitly mentioned, right? So that you have a higher chance of putting it here. But on average, all students, if you study polity nicely, 5 out of 7 questions you could have gotten it. 5 out of 7 questions. So polity, again, we have reiterated the fact that polity is an easily, you're getting a majority of questions correct. 5 out of 7 questions you're getting right, which is a good accuracy point, right? Accuracy rate. But what has shook many aspirants was the fact that when they opened, I was asking my students, I was asking my friends that were given the paper, when they opened, they were looking for questions that were comfortable for them. So there is no more comfort zone. Everything is open-ended. It's UPSC. You have to study each and everything possible, right? Related to the syllabus. Constitution means you need to study till the last article. What does the last article say? At least you need to know what they say in their subject knowledge. Right? What does that article talk about specifically? You do not have to know each and every detail, but what is its broader idea of each and every article you need to study, right? So things have changed that way. Do not go in the expectation next year that only 7 or maybe 10 questions will come from polity, maybe more, maybe less. The best thing you can do is prepare yourself for the best possible outcome. And how do you prepare yourself for the best possible outcome? Study everything. Start now, start early, and start with intensity. Start all the subjects: history, geography, polity, economy, environment, science and tech, right? And all of their current affairs. Fine. Okay. So all the best. I wish you. I guarantee you that if you go along in this way, if you strategize properly, you start early, there are higher chances for you to clear the exam. Thank you for joining the live session. Thank you for being here. I also had fun teaching you this, right? So I'll see you all in the next session. Thank you so much.